Hello, everybody. Today I'm going to do a quick demonstration of TreeScope and some of its capabilities. I am using demo data that I had generated through Claude, so none of the names that I'm going to present are actual living people. If they do resemble anybody, that's just purely coincidental. So with that said, let me get into it. I'm not going to be doing actual imports from GenMatch and Family Tree DNA right now, just due to privacy concerns. I know they do have some things coming up. I know Family Tree DNA, you could do some privacy toggling, and GenMatch is coming up with a way in the summer where you can do some privacy toggling. But for now, we're just going to pretend that we imported the matches and I'd saved my file. We're going to go from there just so I can show you how the program really shines. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to import the file that I had saved. It's going to go here to TreeScope data, and it's going to import. We are now up to version 4.0.3. So I've been making a lot of updates over the past couple weeks, thanks to some great feedback that I've received from some users. I've been updating it more often since people are regularly using it. So you're going to see updates sporadically. The best way to find out if there's a new version is just to refresh the page to see if there's any new versions. You can also clear your cookies, but make sure your files are backed up before you clear your cookies. I've now imported my match list, or I've now imported my kits from various companies. We're only using GenMatch and Family Tree DNA fake data for this example. As you can see, I have a whole list of matches here. So what I had did, I created me. So in this demonstration, I am going to be demonstration. So I'm going to make this me. So when you click this as me, this will be your kit. So when you do one-to-one comparisons, it's going to compare against this kit. While we're in my profile, I will show you some of the information that we have here. So this block here can be updated. So I can keep this as demonstration. I can update it if I want to say this is me. When I do that, it will update this when I come back to it. You do need to scroll off and then come back. So let me just try this really quick. Go to here, then go back to D. If you look here, it says imported demonstration. So this was the name, and then this is the name I updated it to. Anything you put into brackets like this, it's going to strip it out of the GEDCOM. So if you want to use this for notes, for instance, I like to put like the relationship between a match and myself, or if I'm working with my mom's kit or my dad's kit, the match to them. So I'll just put the person's name or the match's name, and then in brackets, I'll put like 2C1R, and then potentially the common MRCA's last names. So you can make some changes here, but just know that anything you put in brackets will be stripped from the GEDCOM export if you choose to export it. So in here too, we have some testing information. This can be entered manually, or it can be imported through match list pasting, which we won't be doing today. You can figure out which side this matches on. Since this is me, I'm not going to be able to choose a side for that, but if you're working through your match list and you know one's maternal, one's paternal, you can choose a side here. Status, this is if you're working on a match, you can set the status, needs review, in progress, and investigated. So those are the three things with that. This is for linking kit. So if you have two people's kits that are cross-platform, say you have a GenMatch and a wiki tree, and both their trees are visible, instead of having to delete one of them, you can just link their kits. And when you run the MRCAs later, it will count them as one kit. So it won't duplicate that. This also will show you the top 5 surnames in the family tree. So this is Callahan, Monstration, Murphy, Ross, and Campbell are the top 5 surnames. This is the pedigree chart that shows you the people in your tree. Pink is going to be for the maternal grandmother. Purple is for the maternal grandfather. Green is for the paternal grandmother. And then blue is for the paternal grandfather. If you hover over it, you're going to see where they're born, where they're located. This is only as good as the data that was entered into the trees. So you might not have all this information. While I'm here, I'll also show you the XPath overlay. So this will show you the XPath for the match. So if you're doing some genealogy work and you have an X match and you want to figure out how this person might match you and they're an X match, this will help you narrow down which lines you would need to build out. It works for both the male and the female matches. This one is a female, so this is going to be the female X pattern. It changes for the male. And then we have the origin overlay here. And this is going to show you the countries of origin. So if you're looking for a specific country, like say you're working on a John Doe case and they are primarily Irish on one side and maybe German on the other line. If you do the country of origin and you're looking at 3-year matches, you can quickly see that this side here, there's the key is down here so you know exactly what the colors mean, because sometimes the colors do look similar. But here you're going to see Ireland is green. So if I'm looking here, I see a lot of Ireland. There is Germany too. So in this case, if this John Doe is, Irish and German, it could be either one of these two lines, but just kind of a way so you can quickly visualize the countries of origin for the ancestors, and focus on those lines, or at least prioritize those lines. Then we also have the table, which I don't use often, but this is just the list of all of the people in the pedigree chart, and it's just listed from your generation. So D being generation 1, and then parents, Patrick and Bridget, and generation 3, grandparents, and so on and so forth. So this is the basic overview for the kit. GEDCOM preview, this is just a small snippet of the actual GEDCOM. It doesn't show you the whole thing. It just kind of gives you some basic information. I'm going to close off D for now. So for bulk export, this is a list of all of the kits that you've imported into TreeScope. You can choose to select all and download as a zip. Make sure this is still working. Yep. So you could see how all 65 files were zipped up within seconds. You can choose if you don't want to download all of them, and you maybe only want to choose Declan and Eric. You can just download these two and it will show up. You can download them each individually. So it will keep popping up. And then the other cool feature we have is you can do the select all here. So say that you're working on an unknown parentage case, or you're just exploring your own DNA matches, or you're working on a John Doe case or Jane Doe case, and you want to potentially see how these matches may connect. So one of the easier ways, instead of having to build back all these family trees, you can just select all of them and click merge into one GEDCOM. And now just like that, within seconds, you're going to have a merged file with 61 kits. So when you upload that file, it's going to generate 61 floating trees, meaning that they're not tethered anywhere. They're not connected all together. For instance, like Alistair is going to be one floating tree. Britta is going to be another floating tree. Dorothy is going to be another floating tree. So you're going to have all these trees already built into whatever platform that you're using, and you can kind of research them that way. I will, give the warning though, as always, if you are using these trees, make sure you go back and vet the information. This is just a shortcut, but you never know how accurate the trees are because they are other users' trees. So don't just take them at face value. Always go back and verify the information is correct. The other cool feature here is we have include DNA suffix on Gen 1. If you do have DNA information imported into TreeScope, it will give you the total segments, the longest segment, and if you add in a custom prefix, it will also add that to the suffix of the match you're importing. So for instance, for this one, if I wanted to do like match and just like put DNA match. So when I export these files in the suffix, so we have Astrid here. She's going to share 29 centimorgans. So if she were to be exported, if you look on the testing information, her suffix would then be DNA match 29.3 and then 8.8, so that you'll know that that's the total and the largest segment. And that all comes out. So when you import the tree, it's a kind of a way of tethering the matches so they're not floating out there willy-nilly without any kind of tether to them, but it still keeps them all separate. So when you're in a tree, you could then search for DNA match, and any match with that tag in the suffix is going to come up. So you can still keep track of them that way. So that's one of the cool features. I actually just used this today on a case. We were moving some imports around, and I just use this, and we wound up consolidating and we're able to upload it to another program. The other one of my favorite parts of this, beside the export feature, is the MRCA Finder. So this way you can quickly see if there are any MRCAs within the trees that you've imported. This doesn't just compare to the main kit person, so it doesn't compare to D in this case. It will compare to everybody, but D will also be included. So for here, I usually change the sensitivity to about 80 or 82. You can go anywhere around there. You can go lower, you can go higher, but I like to start in the 80s just to see what I get. I'm going to hit run all versus all. It did it really quickly. It goes pretty fast depending on how large the trees are and how many GEDCOMs you have or how many trees you have added in. So if you look here, you're going to see possible duplicates or close relative kits detected. For this is just the way to help lessen the amount of MRCAs that are there for kits that might have multiple connections. So for these two, I'm not really sure of their connection. I'm assuming they're going to be close. Probably not the same person based on the name. So I would typically choose close relative. If you're not familiar with that, you can choose not the same or unknown, and it will just clear this. So I'm just going to choose close relative for this person. I'll choose close relative for this person and unknown. You're going to apply and then rerun. And now it's going to show you all the MRCAs that are within the trees of the matches that we imported, or the kits that we imported. So this is going to show you that this MRCA is Hugh Campbell and Catherine McDonald Campbell. It should have just been Catherine McDonald, but AI did it, so what are you going to do? But anyway, so this is showing you that Hugh and Catherine are here, and then their descendant Alexander and Kenneth. This is just a representative path. So this shows 2 of the match paths, but these are all of the people that are part of this group. So it looks like it's the same people multiple times. So Alistair and then Ian twice, and then Alistair and Janet, Cataronia and Janet, and then you have Fiona and Ian, and then Ian and Janet. So you kind of have all these connections. From here, if you know this is a verified MRCA, like you have worked on their tree, you verified the connections, and you're like, yes, this is a good MRCA. From here, you can add in verified that all connections are accurate. You just save that. What you can do is you can hit confirm as MRCA. And now this is going to be saved. So when you rerun this down the line, it will save that information so that you know you don't have to recheck it. Because the great thing about TreeScope is you can save this file, you can export it as a JSON file, and then you can add in new kits as they become available. So if you're just working on different projects, whether it's for investigative genetic genealogy or for genealogy, you can save it. And then as matches come in with more trees, you can toss them into TreeScope. You can run it again and see if any more hits happen. So this way you know that this MRCA is verified, and you can close this up, you're good to go. Again, we're going to go through here. So now this one is showing that the representative path is for Alfie and D. And this is kind of giving us as the example, but you're going to see again, all of these people here are connected through this MRCA. If you have not confirmed them yet, you can just let it hang out. You don't need to confirm anything. You can just let it sit there. The numbers here are representative of how many pairs connect to this MRCA. So you're going to see here, this was 9, this is 5, this one is 7, so this is 7 different kits. And we're going to scroll down all the way to like 1 pair. So this one only has Linda Hoffman and Robert Hoffman, and they look like that they're siblings. So you're going to see that there. I still am working. So here we only have like Thomas O'Brien. So they're just one ancestor from here. It could be that the spouse was not entered properly. The spouse was not entered at all. It could have just been the first name of the spouse. There's lots of different reasons why I might only have one ancestor. I mean, or it could just be a half cousin relationship. I'll typically go through the sets of ancestors, and then I'll go through the solo ancestors just to kind of check out what's going on. So the other cool thing about this is the matrix. So this shows all of the matches that have MRCAs, and you can go across. So we're going to look at my kit, And we're going to see that D has all of these connections to people through different MRCAs. We're going to scroll down here to Mary, and we're going to look at all the different MRCAs that Mary has. I sometimes even like looking at this chart more than this chart. Oop, gotta run it again. Just because actually that's a bug I need to fix. I need to make sure it doesn't go away. Just because I feel like this is a little bit more visual and I can click in. From here, I can also, it says when you look at Margaret Richter and Linda Peters, and it tells you who the common ancestors are, Ludwig Hoffman and Rosanna Huber. I can click on that, and that's going to bring me right to the one-to-one. So this is the one-to-one comparison between Margaret and Linda. And this is going to show me that their common ancestors are here. So that's one way too. You can reevaluate. You can click into Margaret herself and just see what her tree looks like. You can go back to the MRCA Finder again and then click on Linda and then see what her tree looks like. So you can do a lot of evaluation and a lot of clicking between the different places. Then we have surnames and places. So this is another really great tool. If it has less noise here just because I generated it so that they would be useful to be able to demonstrate information with. But typically sometimes you'll have kits that have question marks or asterisks or lines or weird emojis or numbers or something in the front for some reason. What this does, if you hit clean view here, that's going to clean up all that noise and it's going to get rid of everything that doesn't seem to make sense. And it's just going to make it a lot more neater and just have the actual surnames that you should be looking at. You can also then sort by A to Z, or if you wanted to, you can sort by most kits. So this is going to show you the surnames and then how many kits are connected to that surname. So for instance, we're going to look at Ross here. And Ross has 5 kits, and the name Ross shows up 38 times among those 5 kits. So you can start evaluating the kits. You can like look through the surnames, look at the locations, and I'm seeing a lot of Aberdeenshire, Scotland, Edinburgh. So this seems to be a commonality between all these kits that Aberdeen, Scotland is likely going to be where their MRCA might be. And you can do that again for Murphy. You can click through. I like to look at something like Johansson. You're going to see it's mentioned 2 times in 2 kits. So that's going to you see him in Stockholm, McCarthy we have here, New Haven, Connecticut, which is interesting. So I'm guessing that those 2 are closely related. So you can kind of click through the different surnames and get a feel of what the surnames are, which ones are most popular among your kits and the trees and what areas they might be in. You can also search for specific surnames. So if you want to look for Esposito, you can just type in here ESP. Oh, sorry, ES. And then this is going to show you the surnames. So if you're looking for a specific surname, you can search for that here. And then you can go back to sorting by A to Z too. Then we have the Places tab. So if I'm looking for, let's see if there's anything in Mexico. So we're going to be looking for something in Mexico. I just pulled up Mexico. I saw there's some New Mexico. So they're all New Mexico. And then there's some like Baltimore, Maryland. But you're going to see Mexico is highlighted. So it's showing you now everything that's in Mexico. Say I just knew that the Santa Fe was an area that I kept seeing show up over and over again. I can just put in Santa Fe. Let's see where in Ireland do we have connections. Okay, so this is showing County Cork, County Mayo. So I can just search by Ireland to see what areas in Ireland seem to be most common or most prevalent. But if I know specifically that the Jane Doe I'm working on seems to have a lot of connections in County Mayo, I can just go up here, search for County Mayo, and now this is going to show me all of the matches that are located in County Mayo. So that could be beneficial. It could just be by chance that these people also have County Mayo in their tree and maybe they're connected on a German side. But this is just a really quick way of being able to search the GEDCOMs for information that could be beneficial to help just speed up your research a little bit more. The other thing I didn't show, so for the GEDmatch, when you enter the data by copying and pasting the match lists into TreeScope, it will give you a relationship range. It does a pretty good job with giving me an estimated relationship and then how far back I may need to build to find the common ancestor. In here, you can also copy the GenMatch ID if you choose to link the GenMatch kit. I found copy kit is really great because at that point, if you want to do some searching on GenMatch itself to do some comparisons or Commonwealths, it's really easy to know who you were working with, what kit it was, and then do further evaluation on GenMatch. On the sidebar, I forgot to go over this first. There's also different ways to sort your kits. You can sort by highest shared centimorgan. So if you do choose to import the match data, which you don't have to, you can solely use that as a tree surfing type tool. This is just an enhancement to it. This isn't a DNA evaluation tool. It just is an enhancement to the tree building. So you can go through here and like search for the highest CMs and you can sort by there. You can also sort by the source. So you can see if they have trees or without trees. So you have all trees, with tree or no tree. Because you can import kits without trees if you want to use them as placeholders. So here, this is the sources. So you can have all sources. You can filter by just GenMatch, by family tree DNA. It looks like I don't have any DNA data connected to these family tree DNA kits, but they have a very similar layout. It's just that it's labeled family tree DNA, and then the testing information is here. If you know the person, if you know the matches information, like if you wanted to use this for your own personal research and import information from Ancestry or MyHeritage, you could. You can manually put that information in. So for instance, for Fiona, even though she's on Family Tree DNA, maybe she also tested Ancestry. So I can just put that in. I'm going to say she's a 460 centimorgan match. Her largest segment is 85, and maybe she's a 35 centimorgan X match. So I'm going to put that in there. So now when I click off, you're going to see here that it's populated showing that Fiona is a 460 centimorgan match to me. She could be a first cousin once removed, half first cousin, second cousin. And so it's going to be through my great-great-grandparent line. So that's just some additional data you can get by just adding some, centimorgan information. You can also do the stats right here. So if you decide to, if we make Fiona in progress, let's make Catherine, oh, this is not me. Let's make Catherine investigated, and we're going to make Janet needs review. And then you're going to see these little dots too. So this one here is in progress. The green is investigated. And then you're going to see like this little red one that says needs review. Here, you can sort that. Oh, no, wrong one. So here you can sort that. So you're going to see needs review is Janet, in progress is Fiona, investigate is Catherine, and then you're going to have all. So that is the general information. I think I covered everything very quickly. Oh, one last thing to add in. When you're working on a new project, it's probably best practice to add a name here. This can be changed and updated. It's just a way of keeping track of what project you're working on, because you can save this data. Then I can go to here and save the data, and then this will export it. I already have it, so I don't need it. But then I can save the data to back it up. I can hit clear, and then I can start over again with another case. You also you want to make sure that you have a clear slate before you import any more data, because it will combine with whatever's there. So you don't want to find yourself in a situation where you import a JSON file and then you add more stuff in that's from a completely unrelated case, or you open up your browser and you just start working on a case that's there, not knowing what it is. Worst comes to worst, you can always just clear the data and start over again, but you don't want to make sure you don't miss anything. Oh, we have light and dark mode. I primarily use light mode because I think it's pretty good on the eyes, but there is a dark mode version if you prefer that. I also have the user guide here, which I try to keep updated. I've been told that it's pretty good. People read through it and they can understand how to use TreeScope and the different features that it has. So I advise maybe checking out the user guide. I also have the feedback form here. So if you happen to come across any bugs, or you have a feature request, or just general feedback, just make sure to put in your name, your email, and then whatever your message is, describe the issue that you're having. I will follow up if I have questions. So I definitely love the feedback. So feel free to send it. I do read all the feedback that I get. So people have asked me whether or not I am going to be charging for this product, and my answer to that is no. I want to keep this product free and available for everybody to use. I have included a little thing here supporting if you want. Don't feel obligated to do so. People have asked me about supporting me and the work that I'm doing. So I decided to add this in just in case people feel like they want to. So again, no pressure. I am perfectly happy to have people just use this tool. I'm really excited that I've received so much positive feedback, and it seems to be really, really beneficial to our community, which is what I was hoping for. We've had a lot of setbacks over the last 10 years, a lot of hurdles to overcome. So I feel like all of us that come together to try to create these new tools to help just make our work easier or more streamlined is great for the entire community, because what we want to do is to help give people their names back and to also help people find out where they come from. So thank you so much for watching my video, and feel free again to leave me any kind of a feedback, and I hope you enjoy TreeScope.